Parvati, you can introduce what we're talking about because we have a full plate of movies.
Oh, yes. Yes, lots of flavors on our plate, too. But recently, I became a little bit very much into Yorgos Lanthimos movies, and I wanted to talk primarily about The Favorite, and along with, like, discussions with his other films, too. But The Favorite because it's my favorite film of his, and I just feel like there's so much to talk about.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Pun intended or no? Was that intentional?
Oh,
The
no,
favorite
actually.
is your favorite. Ba-dum-bum. Great. Anyway.
Actually, okay. You know how JJ changes his like top 4 films in his letterbox to like match the same color palette?
I do that too.
Okay. Well, one time I was on his profile just to like see what he had changed it to, and I saw that his favorite was in his top 4 favorites, and I was like, haha, funny.
Oh, that's when I had like the all pale. Oh, I like that.
That was nice. I
liked that
liked
one
when
too.
he did that too. It was pretty.
Yeah, that's at Joe7June on Letterboxd.
Oh my god.
Anyways, go ahead. We interrupted.
I'm so sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, but we're here to talk about Yorgos because he's kind of a genius in my opinion, and I genuinely have not seen anything like the movies he has made. And yeah. So, if you guys want, okay, I can read, like, the Google description of The Favorite, because I don't really know how to, like, describe it. But, okay, The Favorite. In the early 18th century, England is at war with the French.
Yes, they are. In the French.
Lafayette?
Yes, nevertheless,
no.
Nevertheless, duck racing and pineapple eating are thriving. A frail Queen Anne occupies the throne, and her close friend, Lady Sarah, governs the country in her stead, while attending to Anne's ill health and mercurial temper. Ooh, wow. When a new servant, Abigail, arrives, her charm endears her to Sarah. Sarah takes Abigail under her wing, and Abigail sees a chance to return to her aristocratic roots.
Not just stand by and let you destroy me.
You are enjoying all of this, aren't you?
Oh, it is fun to be queen sometimes.
If you do not go, I will start kicking you. And I will not stop.
My dear friend, how good to see you've returned from hell.
I'm sure you shall pass through it one day.
So,
Woof.
yeah, that's the basis of what it's about.
Fun.
But, yeah. So, I know you guys watched this movie before I did, but what was your guys' thoughts about it when you did see it?
I guess I'll just go first.
Oh, you go first.
Yeah, so The Favorite's one of my favorite... Oh my god.
Oh god, this is a horrible episode. Ew, disgusting. I don't even want to talk about this. I know. Anyway, keep going.
The Favorite was one of my favorite without a U movies.
Oh, true.
Because you're not European.
I'm not British. Yeah,
well,
definitely.
Europe, but
I would say like top 5 of that year, 2018, and of like the Best Picture
solid.
nominees, that was my top choice. Even though I think Roma should have won that year, but you know, whatever, it's fine. But yeah, that was the second Yorgos Lanthimos film I'd seen. I'd already seen The Lobster beforehand, and I really loved The Lobster because it is so different, and I loved showing that to people to just introduce them to like this different kind of like movie, and it's so like off the wall. But yeah, the Favorite was actually like I would also consider that like my favorite Yorgos Lanthimos film. But after rewatching them, it's like, I don't know, because, like, technically it's, like, the highest rated on my letterbox, which you can... Okay, never mind, I'm going to stop.
Oh, God. Just keep hyping it up.
Plug it again, please.
Yeah, but I feel, like, bad saying that's my favorite Yorgos film, because it seems the most different from the style, I think, from
I
his
agree
other
with that, for sure.
movies. And also, like, he didn't write that. He's just the director, I believe.
That's true.
But I think that's mainly, this is because of the performances. I think the 3 lead performances in The Favorite are some of the best acting I've ever seen in a film. And, like, it's so, like, top class. And, like, all of them deserved Oscars that year, I think. No offense to whoever won Best Supporting Actress that year. I think it was for Beale Street but she was good in that.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I also like Nicholas Holt's performance too. But he kind of drops off because he's not in the movie in the second half. But I thought he was amazing when I first saw the movie. But yeah, I really love it. Its sense of style is so great, and I know Yorgos is like a very unique director. And you said it's like hard to compare him. I think he is kind of like a modern day Kubrick in a way, though, in the way his characters are so like cold and like emotionless on purpose. But he plays it for a more comedic effect when I think Kubrick does it for a more like thriller kind of. But I haven't seen enough Kubrick films to really make that comparison. But that's just who he reminds me of, and that's why I think he's a very exciting director to look out for. And I'm always looking forward to whatever he releases next. But yeah.
Yeah.
How did you feel, Emma?
Yeah, when I first saw The Favorite, well, actually, it was kind of funny. My parents came home because they went and saw it before me. I couldn't, like, go when they went. And they came home and they were like, oof, that was bad. And I was like, oh. And my mom was, like, just not really into it. My stepdad also not really into it. But they were like, the acting was great. I don't know. And so I had that in my brain when I went in to see it. And I was like, oh, no, I hope I like it. Now I'm nervous. And I was like, okay. But I did really like it, so that's really cool. But and since then, I've also watched more of Yorgos's films. Before The Favorite, I hadn't seen any of his films. I didn't really even know who he was, but now I'm glad because he's such an interesting and like unique director, as you guys were saying. And I just love his style of directing, like the way it's so like voyeuristic, and you feel like you don't want to watch, but also you really want to watch. It obviously that's what voyeuristic means, but and it's like intrusive too. Like you feel like you're being pushed into this film, and you're like, oh, should I be like here? No, okay, I'm still gonna watch. And it's just interesting and fun, and I think it's really cool, and I commend him for going against traditional filmmaking because I think it's good. Yep. But that's all I gotta say, really.
That's cool. My experience actually first watching it was kind of similar to yours, where my little sister had actually seen it and she really didn't like it, and so I went into it being like, oh no. And also I had seen like trailers for it and stuff, and I think I told you guys this before, but I had expected it to be something like the movie Emma, just like going into it. Like the way that the trailer showed it, I was like, oh, it's just gonna be this like little like fun piece. Little thing. Yeah, but it's gonna be like kind of fun to watch, something like that. But then my sister comes back with this feedback that it's like really weird and really like bad, and I was like, oh no, because I also like looked at the cast and I was like, wait, this looks like good though.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, and I also didn't know who Yorgos was until like this year, I think. And I finally watched The Lobster, and I was like, wait, this guy's kind of cool. And then I watched The Favorite right after that, and I realized I really love him. Like, he's very good. And then yesterday, the last 2 days, I watched Dogtooth and Killing of the Sacred Lamb. But
dear,
yeah, it was a similar experience where I like went into it thinking it was gonna be bad, but I just loved it so much. And I think just like his style is so like, even though The Favorite does vary a lot from his other movies too, I feel like it's still such an interesting, it's still so unique from other people's forms of like directing, especially with period pieces too, because I often feel that with period pieces they feel very stale and I know exactly what to expect, and it's just gonna be the same like la-di-da, whatever happens, they drink tea kind of stuff. But like in this, I feel like in this one, like, you feel very connected to all the characters because everyone is so flawed, yet everyone is so powerful in what they're able to do. And having, like, that idea of 3 women that are able to control so much and, like, playing with that amount of power is just such an interesting concept to me. And I think I just love the way that it was done and the way it was shown. And, like, the voyeurism and, like, just everything combined is just such an interesting way to, like, really display this. And I think another thing for me too is like I'm a sucker for like people who are pretty accurate to like historical events too, because then I'm like, they actually created like a whole story and like a way of seeing how history was portrayed beforehand. And although Yorgos says that it's not really, this shouldn't be taken as like a history lesson per se, but a lot of it is based in fact. And so he's just kind of filling up the gaps with like his own imagination of what possibly could have happened. So like at the time, Abigail's character in real life, she does come to power for some reason in actual historical times, but they don't know exactly why. And so it's him filling up this like this sort of like love story competition thing within this time period, which I think was super cool. And yeah, was there any like specific like scenes you guys really like from it?
I was just about to ask, do you know if the bunnies, that was real? If she actually
Oh, I don't know.
I
don't know, but
that's
it's
real.
I don't know about the bunnies, but I do know that she
cool.
did.
It's really sad, but it's interesting.
It's crazy how
But
many
the
bunnies
bunnies-
there are, because what their bunnies represent. So it's
I
just,
know,
it's kind of
it's
heartbreaking
so
to see how many
depressing.
bunnies there are.
Yeah.
What the bunnies
it's really-
represent is actually real, though. That actually did happen.
Oh yeah, I know
Okay.
that. I just wonder if she did
Actually had
have
that
rabbits.
many.
I don't know. I'll look that up.
Oh, I wanted to bring this up about Yorgos' films. They all seem to have like something to do with animals. And so, like,
I
don't know,
agree.
it's just- yeah, so obviously the lobster killing of a sacred deer, but the favorite also, it's like the rabbits are a big like metaphor, and the duck racing. How could you forget?
Oh yeah.
Horatio, the fastest duck in the city. I know you jumped at the scenes, but I'll just say that first duck racing scene where it's presented in like this epic slow motion is a great scene.
Okay, she didn't actually have rabbits. I'm sorry to inform.
Oh, movie ruined. 3 out of
Movie
10.
ruined. Everything sucks. Goodbye, guys. No, I was kidding. Anyway, sorry. Continue what you were saying.
I was just shouting out the duck scene.
Oh yeah, duck scene's good. Solid
And
scene.
the presence of animals in Yorgos' films. But yeah, to what Emma said about like it's like kind of intrusive to what we're watching.
I love it. I love that.
I know this is a lot in The Lobster, but like people would like add details that are like so unnecessary, but it's like with this like vein of politeness. It's kind of like Dustin Hoffman in The Graduate during
Yeah.
the Mrs. Robinson, but like less emotional. So it's like kind of like flat, but like this still like facade of like politeness, and they're just adding these details. I can't recall a specific line in my head, but like this basically the whole script is like that. So just pull any line, and it feels like wrong, even though what they're saying is technically like correct and truthful. It's just very funny to me. And one of my favorite reviews was, I think it's from Carson Rundquist. It's like, imagine directing this movie, and he's talking about The Lobster, and it just and it's just crazy that like Yorgos is basically doing the opposite of like what directors do, like sort of like, oh, bring out the emotion, we want to see your levels like up here,
Yeah.
we want to see the internal conflict. He's like, strip all of that away. And it's very interesting to see the actors deliver like these very like straightforward. It's not even like monotone though. It's like it's just something off about.
I
what
know
they
it's
say.
so hard to describe. Like it really is so difficult, and it's so cool though. And like I said before, I commend him for doing that and for making his films so unique and different and just like not. I wouldn't say. But also, I was gonna say like creating this very unique style, but like you said, it is kind of key work at the same time. But it feels so just unique and weird and random, and I like it a lot. And I think all of his films really stand out. But also, I would say that his style, because of how unique it is, I found that like from other people who have seen his films, it's really hit or miss for them. Like people typically like him or they don't like him. But even still, he's directing them in the way that he wants to, and I think that's really commendable. And I think a lot of unique directors also have that type of flair to them where they're like, well, I'm gonna do it this way because I can. And I think they make them more interesting movies, so yeah.
I agree. And I really love that he has, like, that his style is his characters, like, speaking really monotonously, too, because I feel like, in a way, it allows you to step into, like, whatever messed up world he's going to bring you into, also. Like, you're more easily able to, like, integrate whatever idea it is that he's trying to, like, scream at you. But it's just it's, like, in a way so that all the characters feel very numb. You don't feel specifically, like, attached to... Like, you might feel attached to them, but it's not in a way that's, like, very emotional. It's just like, oh, this character is doing this, and this is what their dynamic is. And you just see them for being as people, not specifically as certain characters. And I was watching a few interviews of people like talking about what it's like to be directed by him and stuff. And one big thing that everyone talks about is just that Yorgos doesn't explain anything. Like when he's directing you, he'll be like,
that.
yeah, like a lot of directors, they're like, they discuss with actors like their motivations and like what they're thinking about and how they should be feeling and to evoke this kind of emotion from them. But instead, he trusts the actors to let it play out and see how it goes. And if he doesn't like something, he'll like give a note and be like, maybe like a little bit like this or like a little bit like this. But even when he is doing that, he doesn't try to shape them or mold them a certain way. He just kind of trusts them with the flow of how things go. And he basically trusts like the actor to create the character more than he does with his own like, written words or like discussion or anything. And I just thought it's really interesting because even with like Colin Farrell has worked with him on The Lobster and Killing of a Sacred Deer, and when he was talking about working on Killing of a Sacred Deer, which came out after The Lobster, he was saying that right? Am I wrong?
Yeah, that's correct. No, that's right.
Yeah. It's because Lobster came out 2015, I think, and then Killing of a Sacred Deer came out 2017. But he was saying that like everyone on set didn't even have to be told to like speak monotonously on Killing of a Sacred Deer because everyone already knew his style, so they're like, we might as well just like go with that flow. So it was like literally never said, and they just kind of like went with it. And he was like,
That's
yeah,
so
it's good.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just so cool because his directing aesthetic itself is so calming too, and just so like with the way that he has his actors act too. It's just so cool to me.
See, I feel like calming, I know it is kind of calming, but I feel like calming's not the right word. It feels like tension's just going to pop any second. Like something's about to like explode because it seems like characters are repressing all these emotions that they're not like allowed to say for some reason, whether it be like the society or like the world that's holding them down. Yeah, I was going to bring up like how each of the 4 films that I've seen each seem to have like its own unique world around them. But just because you mentioned the note with Colin Farrell, I'm just like really, it must speak to like the lengths of how like good of a director Yorgos is to work with, considering how much Colin Farrell goes through in The Lobster. Like there's literally a part where he's like digging his own grave and he's like throwing dirt on his face. And it's like, yeah, this guy will totally work with this director again, totally.
I love Colin Farrell. Is another thing too. I love that. I want to watch Killing of a Sacred Deer because Colin Farrell's like one of my favorite actors. Just I think he's a really cool guy. But also that is like crazy that he's still. But you know what? It, like you said, he's a cool director. He's a fun director to be around. So unique, very interesting. I like what you were saying with the people just being like, well, I mean, we know the style that he likes, so we'll just talk in that way. That's funny. Yeah. That's so cool. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I was also going to say, like, he is building, like, a really talented pool of actors for his English films, like Colin Farrell, Rachel Weisz, Olivia Colman. Like, they've all appeared in multiple films of his, and it's a really good pool he's building. Hopefully Emma Stone works with him more again, because I didn't mention this earlier, but her performance in The Favourite is my favorite performance of hers, even though I know we all love La La Land, and I love La La Land
but
too,
I mean,
think...
it doesn't compare. I agree. I
no.
feel like
really?
No way.
That's awesome.
I don't know. I feel like her performance in The Favourite is like up here. I'm holding my hand really high. I realize we're on a podcast, but it's like up here, and then her performance in La La Land. I don't even think it's on the same like bar,
the same plane,
because it's not at all similar, and they shouldn't be. And I think like her performance in The Favourite is just so good. I think it's so like crazy talented and unique and weird, but I think everyone's performance in The Favourite is so good too, because I was thinking about it and I was like, oh, who did I like the most? And I was like, oh, that's so hard. I don't know.
I agree.
Yeah, even the guy who plays Abigail's like the guy who marries her. I don't know his name.
I don't know either, but I know who you're talking about.
He's great too, and he's also just a minor character. But yeah, I thought I was afraid you're gonna diss La La Land. It should be like La La Land is up here, but like The Favourite is even upper here.
Yeah,
I'm raising my hand extra high.
Like I don't even think like you could compete with that.
It's because the character has such range, and she's given so much freedom to like explore like really like every kind of emotion. And the story of her character, it kind of drives the film because she's kind of presented as a main character in a way. It's like the person who comes in to disrupt the system. But it turns out she just kind of plays into it, and she's like, she actually really does belong in like a political, like scheming type of way. The way she like manipulates her way to power. And just like the people who get pushed aside when people try to like rise in influence like that. But yeah, she starts off literally getting pushed into the dirt and being like disrespected by everyone around her to one of the most powerful people. It's a really riveting performance and story to watch.
Very true.
Yeah. Also, like, her accent is so good. Like, I don't think I've ever seen an American actor do as good a British accent as she did. I don't know. Have you guys seen
Yeah.
any? Do you feel like there's any performances that actually compare to her accent?
I mean, I don't consider myself really good at identifying accents. Like, honestly, I think people like shit on Robert Downey Jr.'s accent from the Sherlock Holmes movie, and I'm just like, it's fine, like, I don't really have an ear for that stuff. But have you guys seen those videos on YouTube of like it's like a speech expert like analyzing accents in movies, and he's like so detailed. He's like the way they move their mouth and like, when they say this word. I feel like he would really like Emma Stone's performance. Hopefully, I'm not wrong about that, but
maybe he has a video. We don't even know. That'd be interesting.
But yeah, her accent's great. I've seen people like in comments like, "Oh, her accent's so amazing." And, okay, I want to bring this up. I was playing a game with Parvati where we would play like the voices of actors, and you have to identify who the actor is.
Really, that's fun.
Yeah. And I played a clip from The Favorite when Parvati hadn't seen it yet, and like she had to guess Emma Stone, but it took her a while because her accent was just so good. No offense.
Good job, Emma Stone. Good job,
But
Emma
yeah.
Stone. Not so good job, Parvati, but that's okay.
That's fine.
You got there eventually. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Also, like, speaking of range for characters, I just thought, like, Queen Anne's range is crazy.
Yes!
Yeah.
I love Queen Anne.
And, like, Olivia Colman, when she was, like, talking about playing Anne also, she was saying that, like, her main goal as an actress is to be able to, like, do everything. Like, do whatever, do everything. And she felt like Queen Anne was, like, the one character that just explored every human emotion possible. And I think that's such a perfect description of, like, how her personality is the whole time, too. I love it. It's crazy. Because she's so, like, unstable the entire time.
I know.
And I feel like it's just, I don't know. It was so fun to watch. It's so entertaining. And I feel like she's, like, one of the sole pieces that keep the movie going, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Agreed. I love Queen Anne. I think she's probably my favorite character in it. I think because she's so interesting. Like, I feel like every time you see her, she's kind of just different every time that you see her, which is just, I don't know. And I love Olivia Colman, so I also might be biased because I love her. She's so amazing.
Olivia Colman's great. Yeah, she's so like funny. Like
she's so funny, and she seems like such a nice person.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Fleabag. Is she great in that?
She is so
She's
great in
in
Fleabag.
Fleabag.
Oh my god, incredible!
I love her.
Yeah, we both said that, but she's just amazing, and so I feel like I would be biased though, because her character is my favorite, but I also feel like I'm just like, oh, it's Olivia Colman. Oh my god. So
I feel like she's definitely one of those people. She's definitely one of those like shapeshifter people where it's like there's like specific characters where you end up hating like the image of the person even though they're just like the actor for it. Like a lot of like Harry Potter fans hate the actress who plays Umbridge, but she's like not a bad person.
She's hilarious. She's a comedian in real life. Like she's been in comedy shows like her whole career. She's been doing like comedy television, which I think is hilarious that she plays like the worst person ever.
I know, like most people hate her more than they hate Voldemort, which I think makes sense.
No, everyone does. Everyone hates her more than Voldemort because she's literally
I know, so then you see her face and I feel like you see her face and you're kind of like triggered by her, but then like someone like Olivia Colman, she's like able to play such a like huge range of like characters too, that you just see her in these different lights, and it's like sometimes I feel like within this movie itself too, since she's so different in every scene of it too, like sometimes you think she's gonna be like reasonable and like a normal human being, but sometimes she's gonna be like crazy and off the walls. And then her character in Fleabag is just like a horrible person. And it's just so
love her character in Fleabag.
Yeah. It's just so like I love it because she just like puts on all these masks and you can like see her in so many different lights, and I feel like I don't feel that way about a lot of different actors because they're either like typecasted or they're just like put in this position where you have to feel a certain way about them.
The Rick Dalton basically.
Yeah, the Rick Daltons
Yeah,
of the
the
world.
Rick Daltons.
That's funny. But
Yeah.
I agree 100% because I've seen her in so many different things, and I just see her as like Olivia Colman. I don't think of her as like specific character in something. 'Cause she's just she does have a lot of
Yeah.
range. I agree with that. Damn, good job, Olivia Colman. You're amazing.
Shout out to her performance in Hot Fuzz, even though she's in that movie for like 2
Yeah,
minutes.
shout out to her performance. In Hot
She's
Fuzz.
so funny in that movie.
I love her.
Yeah, but to speak on her range, I think her best like scene of acting in this movie is during the ball scene where it's just like a close up on her face and she's like happy, but then inside you can tell she's like kind of disgusted by the whole like ruling class or whatever, and then she just gets angry and she stops the party, and just the way her face changes in that one shot is just that was the range of emotion right there for me.
Yeah.
And she definitely deserved her Oscar that year, and her speech is one of my favorite Oscar speeches of all time.
Same.
It's great.
It was so cute. It was so like humble.
I
Yeah,
remember
someone like
watching
genuinely
it and
like
just-
happy that they
Yes.
won the award.
I
It's
know.
nice.
It was it felt so genuine. I feel like I didn't realize until that point that Oscar speeches just seemed so fake.
Yeah.
But hers was so genuine, and now I like when I'm listening to Oscar speeches, I'm like,
That's no Olivia Colman.
This is an
I know,
Olivia
this
Colman
is,
level.
This is not Olivia Colman. Like she wipes the floor with all of your speeches. You guys are pathetic. But
even
if
during
it's,
like this year's Oscars, like she was a presenter. Sorry, I'm interrupting real quick.
Yeah,
but
no, go ahead.
I
Yeah.
loved her little like bit because she started out with this whole like comedic act of her doing her like over like humble thing, and it was like really cute and genuine, talking about her husband. and then she goes into like a really just quick sentence about the seriousness of acting, that she was presenting the Male Actors Award. She's like, I hope I could find a clever thread connecting all these, but the genius is that there is none. And that's like it's so great. Like even if she didn't write that, just the way she delivered everything.
Yeah, no,
Aw.
she's great. I think no one will ever top her speech, and that I just love it. She wins the Oscar for best speech at the Oscars. That's amazing. But yeah,
We should have, if we ever do like an Oscars episode, we should all just find like a speech we really like and like just present it and be like, this is the best Oscar speech.
yes, we can't
Except-
choose her speech because we already know she wins, so we have to choose
Sure.
someone else's speech. That's great.
Yeah, but going back to the favorite and like Yorgos's kind of way of directing and things, I feel like I really enjoy. So I know me and JJ were talking about like how I said it was like kind of calming, but at the same time it also feels like you're constantly in danger of something happening. You're constantly like in anticipation of something happening. That's what JJ said. But I feel like Yorgos has a good balance of both, because he keeps things in a very, like, the way he sets his characters, first of all, to act in that way to make you feel like already kind of anxious about what's going to happen, but also it just feels like you are never safe with anything. You're never completely safe because something unexpected always comes back around and happens. So even if you feel like you're in a safe moment or a very, like, there's some kind of harmony that's finally starting to be created in this kind of chaotic world, something else happens to like jump right back in and be like, no, never mind, but you're actually not safe, something else is going to happen. And I feel like that's such a common thing that he does in all of his films too, so you never really feel like you know exactly what's going to happen. And I usually really just like hate super predictable movies. While a lot of people enjoy like a lot of cliches and things, I feel like when I'm going into watching one of his movies, I'm going to be surprised in some way. He's going to make me think about something differently some way and stuff. And I think that's like my main reason why I wanted to talk about his movies too, because it's just so thought-provoking.
I agree. I 100%. I think, yeah, that's the perfect way to describe his films. I feel like thought-provoking. Because that's, every time I've, like, watched one of his films, I've left and just been like, whoa. And I was in this, like, trance of just, like, it was consuming in my brain, and I could just not stop thinking about it. Like, when I watched Dogtooth the first time, oh my god, the whole rest of the day, I was just, like, sitting and just staring and just, like, I was just thinking about everything, and it was crazy, and it kept coming back to me during the week after I watch it, just because it was there's so much packed into his films, and there's so much that's not discussed but there also is so much that is discussed. It's so cool. I love it. I love that. I love when films make you think. I feel like those are my favorites. When, sorry, the word favorite just can't be used.
Yeah, it can't be said. But what's a synonym of favorite? Like top. Not
that was
worst?
top 50, but they're actually top 5, but they're actually top 30.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like, I love when films do that, and I love when they consume me for like weeks, or I just keep thinking about it. I love that. I think that's why I really like his films, and I really want to watch more of his films. I've only seen Dogtooth, The Favorite, and The Lobster. I need to see more, so
yes,
definitely gonna look into that.
I think a big reason for like the movie's impact, all his movies have like a lasting like impression. I think it's because he really knows how to end a movie. Like, I don't want to dive into specifics, but like some of his movies have like one of the best endings. Like just the way he knows when to end a story and when to leave it open ended for interpretation.
Yes.
The Lobster and Dogtooth come to mind. Those are like my two favorite endings of his. 100%. Those are really fantastic. So Killing of a Sacred Deer, I was kind of disappointed, but at the same time, it made sense, I think, looking back on it. But The Favorite, that ending's interesting too, because it drags itself out for a long time, and that's part of its power, I think, because it's showing the abuse of power, but at the same time, it's showing a lot of character moments about the queen finally. Oh, we're gonna spoil The Favorite. Like that's the one movie.
That's okay. It's the one we're like mainly talking about. So.
Yeah. It's the one part when the queen realizes like when Abigail is like not actually someone who is like Sarah, and she's like trying to like push her power on Abigail one last time, and Abigail being forced to like massage her leg. I think that's what she's doing, and that scene is so uncomfortable, and it goes on for about 3.5 minutes, I think. And I think it's great. That's like it just kind of sums up the whole movie, because the entire movie is about power, it's about influence, and in the end, it's like the queen has the power, but she's still suffering tremendously.
They both didn't get what they wanted in a way, which I think is cool.
And that's why I think Yorgos' films have such an impact, because of the way they end. And
very true.
Some of my favorite endings in film in general. Yeah.
Me too. I agree with you saying that he knows exactly when to end it too, because I feel like a lot of people try to milk what they've already created in the movie too, and they're like, ooh, let's give them more to think about, or they end it and it's very like definitive what probably was the ending too. And I know a lot of people find like ambiguous endings to be very like pretentious and like like annoying kind of. They are. No, so do I. Because I feel like if you watch
such
a
film
movie,
students.
I will acknowledge that they're pretentious. That's where I stand away from other films. Like they go, it's not pretentious. It's no, it is pretentious, but I like it.
I also feel like it goes very well with like his style of creating a story too. Because if you're gonna go through all of that, like everything that you go through in one of his movies to watch, it's like I feel like for me with his movies, it's kind of like. You go into it a little bit anxious about what's going to happen because the world seems too calm, and then something really traumatically, like, horrible happens, and you're like, whoa there, and it, like, establishes the tone for the whole movie, and then you kind of go through the rest of it, like, waiting to see what's going to happen, and then the ending is left ambiguous, so you, the viewer, have, like, your own kind of experience of what it's like, or your own interpretation of it, and I feel like to go through that whole process while watching one of his movies and to have a definitive ending is not really worth it. In a way, because if it's going to introduce you to this new topic that makes you question things about like society or like power or relationships or whatever it is that he's actually trying to aim at people in his movies, if you're going to introduce those topics for people to really think about it and not give them like room to actually determine what they think would happen, I don't think it's worth like putting together a movie in that way. Yeah. And I feel like that's like another thing that makes me really drawn to his movies too, because I feel like even if people think it's pretentious, I think it's needed in his style, and if it's not, it feels like a kind of like a cop out to me for the way he would end things. Yeah. Yeah.
If he didn't have like if you took The Favorite and like took away all like his style, it literally would just be so bare. It would probably be like normal period pieces. not to say that they're all bad, but but I mean, there's not much to them. They're pretty straightforward. They have a beginning, middle, and end. There's not a lot of like thought there. Pretty much, it's very just straightforward. But the way that he uses his style, and I agree with like ambiguity in his films, it makes them far more interesting than any other story of similar style, I think.
Yeah. When I first heard of The Favorite, I think I was like in the common room of my dorms, and like a little TV spot came on, and people were like, "Oh, what's this period piece?" And they might be lesbians? Question mark. And it's
Fun.
but like from just the few clips, I'm like, this style just seems so familiar to me. It like reminds me of something, and it's like, oh, it reminds me of The Lobster. And I searched it up and was like, oh my god, it's the same director.
Whoa.
And that's when I got really excited.
That's so
yeah.
cool that you could like distinguish his style right away. I mean, because I
Yeah.
didn't even know who he was before I saw The Favorite, so I wouldn't have had that connection. But that just proves that his style is so unique and it's so distinctive and it's so easy to spot, even from like a TV spot on like that's really cool.
And I love what you're saying though about how it like adds so much like flavor to like a standard
Yes.
period piece.
Yes.
And yeah, I was just hearing your guys' reactions about how other people you've talked to didn't like it. It's just the first time I saw The Favorite, I saw it in like a theater, and it was like a matinee, so there wasn't a lot of people, but there was like these two ladies older in front of me, and they hated the movie it was like, that was the stupidest movie I've ever seen. And I was like, oh my god, that ending made me so uncomfortable. But they were I think it's just so off-putting to normal audiences, his style.
Yes.
Not to be like, now this is sounding
I
really
know,
defensive.
it is potentially.
Ooh, we're film
I agree.
But
Let's just, yeah.
it's what makes it unique. I think that's what makes The Favorite like surpass like a period piece that you'd see like of that time. Even though I wouldn't consider myself an expert on period
Yes.
pieces.
Pieces. I've seen a lot, and I'm ashamed to admit I've seen quite a lot of period pieces in my time. Do I like them? No, but that's okay.
But a period piece can be like any period, right?
Yeah,
It's
no,
like,
I feel like
Yeah.
I've seen some really good ones, but for the most part,
I mean, like
Apparently,
technically-
every British actor has been in at least one period piece.
oh,
before.
100%. I could tell you which one they've been in. That is fact. Just because they need a lot of people in period piece. Like, there's so many actors in one film, because, like, you have to have, like, I don't know, I feel like it's a very large group of people. But that's, like, so random. I don't know. Period pieces are so odd. I feel like you know it exists, but, like, you don't at the same time. You're like, oh, there's period piece movies. That's interesting. I didn't really think those were real. Oh. But
I feel like when we talk about period pieces, I think we're mainly referring to like that time in history, though, like not medieval Europe
I would
specifically,
100%
but
agree
like
with that. Yeah. I find that that's typically, yeah, that's what you would think when you think period pieces. But I don't know
I would
what
consider like
defines
would an '80s
another
film, like a film that takes like a
No.
nostalgic, like not a film that coming out in the '80s, but like a Stranger Things, like something that takes place in the '80s. Would that be considered a period piece?
I don't
don't
know.
know. We'll
I
look up
wouldn't
the
consider it a
definition.
period piece.
Because it takes place during a certain period of time. And that's a period piece.
Okay,
Like,
technically you can say
consider
that about
some-
any film then. You can say
Yeah,
that about
exactly.
anything
That's what I'm
then.
saying. That's why I'm saying a period. No, but I'm like a time in the past. That's what I'm referring to as period piece.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, would The Handmaiden be considered a period piece?
So
Kinda, right?
the definition of a period piece is a work that is set in or strongly reminiscent of an earlier historical period. So I guess but then you would have to define what historical is, and you would have to set the time frame for you, because like how historical is historical? Like, would you argue that
How
like the
historical is
80s
historical?
is historical? I don't know if I would say
I mean, that's 40 years ago now, which is crazy.
that's
But,
only 40 years ago.
Only 40. A lot can happen in 40 years, Emma.
I know, but I feel like I don't know. I feel like that just it's very dependent on. Oh, yeah, no, I don't know. I feel like it's really hard to describe.
But, like, period piece, like, tangent aside, I think my favorite, like, the way it, like, separates itself, I think it still feels really modern. because like the themes around power and influence, of course, that's universal and will always last. And I think it really hits home that theme, because the whole movie is about manipulation of power and how these two sides influence kind of like a puppet leader in a way, and they used their like personal lives to do so, and it's just so much fun, I think, as well. It's funny, it's entertaining, but at the same time it's really dramatic, and the stakes are actually really high. Nicholas Holt's character is always bringing up the war, and people are dying, but it's not explicitly showing you war, but like this is like the behind the scenes, and these are where the real decisions are being made. And it's really good how he captures this whole world. And I'll talk about Yorgos's worlds if we talk about his other films later.
Yeah, I love that too.
Yeah, but I think another thing that I feel like also distinguishes this for me is that like I feel like often in period pieces, I haven't seen a lot, but I feel like a lot of times I feel more detached from it because they're talking about the specifics of what's happening in their lives too. So it feels very irrelevant to how I feel. But Yorgos, he talked about how he made sure that in the writing they don't talk about specifics of the war, like really, really deep specifics. So you can focus more on the power dynamics of everyone happening so that it can really be relevant to any time period. And you can relate it to even today and things too. And I thought that was really valuable too, because in that way it also makes it feel very modern, because you can see these common tropes and these common recurrences of people in power as well. And I thought that was really cool. Yeah, he's very smart about all of these things.
Very smart. He seems like such an intelligent person. Like I feel like in any interview I've seen him, I'm like, oh, he's very intimidating with like, knowledge, and I feel like I would seem like an idiot if I talked to him.
He looks intimidating, but I haven't actually watched an interview with him, so I don't know.
No, yeah, like the way he talks, I feel like I was just like, oh my god, he's really smart.
I was rewatching.
I can't.
I was rewatching this interview that Timothée Chalamet and Emma Stone have together, and
actors.
Yeah, and when they were talking about Yorgos, they were like, he's like a man. I was like, oh shoot. I feel like if I met him, I'd be so just like, I would stumble with my words so much I wouldn't know what to say.
Has Timothy done anything with Yorgos?
No, but he's met him before, I think.
Okay. Oh man,
yeah,
next Yorgos film starring Timothy Chalamet. The Timothée Chalamet, what is it? Renaissance, the overexposure, it's too much. he's working with like every talented director he can find, so I think eventually he'll get to Yorgos Lanthimos.
True. Really I hope he does. That'd be so cool.
All right, so let's move more into segments. I know Parvati brought up because of any favorite scenes earlier, but I think we still had a lot to talk about.
Yeah, definitely.
But if you guys want to shout out scenes in this movie or like any other of his movies, that'd be awesome. Like, now's the time, I guess.
In all of his movies? Oh my god. I have to think back.
I could start with the favorite.
Sure.
If you want to like just encapsulate the movie in one scene, I would go with the shooting scene. I think it's the first one. The one where Sarah, or it might be the second. I don't know how many. There's a good amount of shooting scenes. It's like, let's go shoot some ducks.
Yeah.
It's like that's the one pastime they have, is to go shoot some ducks.
Fun pastime.
But
Fun Sunday afternoon pastime, chill.
It's the scene where quick tangent. Have you guys seen The Crown?
Yeah, I've seen the first season.
Okay, I think it's in the first episode, so it's fine. The duck shooting scene where they go on their little boats and start shooting ducks. Remember that scene? That's such a great scene. The music that plays, it's so epic. It's like, dang, that makes me want to go out on a little boat and shoot some ducks.
Aww.
Yeah.
Top 10 quotes that JJ's going to regret in 10 years.
True.
What, I want to go out and shoot some ducks? Come on. Yeah. Have you guys ever had quail egg before? Quail egg is great.
Animal cruelty.
I had a stuffed animal quail as a child.
If you want to talk about animal cruelty, I think an animal literally dies in all of Yorgos' films. Technically, I don't want to say anything about killing of Caesar. Anyways, back to the shooting scene. So yeah, I think the power relationship between Abigail and Sarah throughout the movie is reflected in those scenes as Abigail slowly gains power there and she becomes a better shot. Eventually, one of the favorite, shooting a duck and blood splatting on Sarah's face. Great. But my favorite is the one where Sarah fakes shooting a gun at Abigail, and it's you never know when a pellet's loaded or not. such a great scene between these two actresses, and it's just so satisfying to watch. And the way it's shot too, it's just I always go back to rewatch that scene. That's like my YouTube scene for this movie. It's like if I ever want to get a little taste of the favorite without watching the whole movie, I just pop that scene on because I think it's a nice little microcosm of the whole movie. But yeah, that would be my scene for the favorite.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was probably my scene as well too. I agree. It's like that scene that's just, you look it up and it's just perfectly encapsulates the feel of the film, and it's also like, I don't know, it's a very entertaining scene as well. I think definitely one of my favorites. Oh god, I hate the word favorite now.
It's my top one. My number one
I think
scene.
That's also one of my favorite moments. Oh god, we should count how many times we say favorite in this whole pod.
Gosh, gross.
Yeah, but I think I really like. I forgot that I really like this scene, but when Abigail is first exposed to the fact that Sarah and Anne are having a different type of relationship than what she originally thought. I thought that scene when she's like trying to sneak out of the. It's like she's getting a book or something from her library.
Oh my gosh, that's a great scene.
It's such a good scene. Yeah,
so
because I feel like I know it's like so funny to watch.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I totally forgot about that scene because I was reading the Wikipedia plot summary again just to refresh, and it's like Abigail spots them having sex, and I'm like, what? When did that happen? But you just brought it back. Yeah, I remember that. It's a great scene.
Yeah, and I think it's really cool too because I feel like I am witnessing it with her too because I feel like I'm only seeing bits and pieces. I'm hearing a little bit of it. I'm not like seeing exactly what's happening, but you already have such a clear idea what's actually happening too, and it's just such a cool like. The way she's able to the way she's like trying to get away from it, and also the way that she's trying to like react to it at the same time is just so funny to me. And like all of that, when she's sneaking out, it also leads to that one guy coming up to her and being like, "Oh, can you influence the way that the queen thinks about all of these things?" I think that was right after
the one guy, Nicholas Hoult. He's great.
I know it was. Wasn't it his friend? I thought his friend was trying to convince her. Was it not his friend?
I don't remember.
Okay.
None of us have actually technically seen the... Wait, did you rewatch it, Emma?
I did. But it was late. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
It's fine. We seem really bad. It's like, wow, they didn't even watch the movie that they're talking about. We did. We've all seen it, okay?
We all have.
Yeah, but that leads me into my point about Nicholas Holt's character. Because I feel like, also, like, her way of... Like, Abigail's, like, means of survival throughout the whole movie is, like, based in power, right? So she plays with it with the queen, but she also plays with it with Nicholas Holt's character, too, where she's, like, trying to flirt with him and see if there's a way that she can, like, bypass certain things with him, too. And I just think it's cool because you can already see, like, her trying to juggle, like, figuring out multiple tactics of getting to the top somehow. And I thought that was also very interesting to just see happen. But... yeah. Also, I was doing more research on the movie too, and it is. I think Olivia Colman, she talks about how, like, for like the film nerds out there, if you see the points in time when Sarah's like the dominant power taking care of Anne's character versus like when you see Abigail's character being the dominant person like taking care of her, when it's Sarah, like all of the food in the room is like healthy snacks and like fruits and like all of these things, but then when it's Abigail, it's like cakes and like sugared sweets and all of these things.
That's
you can
crazy. No
way.
way.
Yeah, so they already insane. Like create this aesthetic of like this person is actually really bad for you, but they're gonna give you what you want as like the short-term happiness.
Oh, that's so smart. See? He's intimidating. He's intimidating with wisdom. That's why I feel like I would be so afraid of him, because he's so
afraid
smart.
to talk to Yorgos Lanthimos?
There's some, like, but you know what I mean?
Like
there's, like,
me
those
up in a
people...
hotel or a house, a very nice house.
But I feel like he's one of those people that is just so intimidating because he's so knowledgeable on so much. And I'm just like, I can't talk to you because I can't even come to a level of being at like the same wisdom as you. That's crazy. That's so smart.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of like directors and a lot of films, like they try to be like super profound and smart, and like sometimes it's like, do they even really know what they're talking about? I feel like he totally nails down
Oh,
whatever
he
he's
knows.
trying to
Yeah.
get across
He
in every film.
seems so smart. I feel like it's so weird. He just seems so smart. Like, anyways.
I feel like he's one of those people who, like, you know how there's people who, like, talk a lot and they try to act like they know all these things. And then he's one of those people who doesn't talk a lot. He doesn't express a lot of emotion, but he knows so much. And everything he says is so, like, filled with value and filled with, like, fact and knowledge and wisdom. And just, it's so cool. Also, when they were talking about being on set too, apparently all of them, since he apparently doesn't smile a lot when he's directing, like he doesn't show a lot of emotion, but like apparently they would all play a game with each other, being like, oh, did you make him smile that day? Like, did you like make him show emotion with like the way you acted? Was he like satisfied? So apparently they played this game like trying to be like, oh, you got him to smile, good job, and stuff like that, which is so funny to me. Yeah.
I don't know if this is him, but I think when Olivia Colman won an Oscar, he was like seated like a row behind. I think he ran all the way to the front to congratulate her. I don't know if that's him for sure. I'll rewatch Olivia Colman's speech after this. Just
so
'cause
cool.
that's a dose of serotonin, but we'll see. I want to talk about like the worlds in all his films, like just even The Favorite, which is taking place in our world technically.
Yeah.
It's still like a contained
Otherworldly
thing.
in a way.
Otherworldly.
Yeah.
I think all his films are like contained in a way in some kind of or at least the ones I've seen. I still need to watch Alps. I'm really looking forward to watching that.
Me too.
But yeah, all of his worlds are like kind of contained, or they kind of have like their own set of rules that is like unique to like learn like how does this world work. And I think that's one of the mysteries of Killing of a Sacred Deer. Like, what's off about this world? Something's so off, but like, what's the rule that these characters all are trying to like or hinting at? But it's all established, of course, in his other films, like Dogtooth. You know, it's like what's going on here, but eventually you learn about the whole. Yeah, I mean the letterbox description spoils kind of the plot of it, but it's
Really?
basically,
What does
Wow.
it say?
yeah.
I'm
No,
glad I
it
didn't
doesn't
read
spoil
that
the
before I
plot,
watched
but it
it.
spoils the premise. And I didn't even I didn't know what the premise was going into watching.
I also didn't. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like really confused about Dogtooth at first, but then once you get it, you're like, oh my god.
Yeah,
And the
once you
Lobster,
get
of
it, it's
course, is very straightforward with its rules. And I think just the creation of these worlds, even though they don't seem like these faraway futuristic things,
Yeah.
they're still otherworldly. And that's why
Yeah, exactly.
the performances match that, and just the production design too, everything seems squeaky clean in all his movies, when in reality there's some like crazy stuff going on. And it just all the themes just reflect around the world of each film, and I love it. And the Lobster's world is one of my favorite ever put.
Me too,
I
me too.
agree.
It's
I
so
agree.
unique.
It's so cool. And but also not, but also cool.
Yeah,
I think
way
the
it
reason
reflects
why-
the themes of the movie. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Sorry,
that's true.
fine.
Also, I feel like in The Lobster, it's like multiple worlds within each other, because it's like the people who are. Wait, should I even like
I think it-
explain?
Yeah, should we spoiler warning for the Lobster? I guess. But
Yeah, spoiler
no,
warning for
I
The
was gonna say
Lobster.
it's I know what you're saying, but I feel like it's different societies that are a result of the world that they live in.
That's true.
But yeah,
I
go
agree
ahead.
with that.
Yeah, like to me, it's like when you're looking into one of Yorgos's worlds, it's kind of like you are gathering information about like social rules that they all play into and things for each one. So it's like if someone acts a certain way, but it seems to be like normal to them, but it's like not normal to us, you kind of like start to be more and more interested, like what else is normal, what else is like out of the ordinary, what is like, you know, like what is expected of these people. And I think that's why I think it's so just engaging to see him literally reestablish what like is a social norm in all of these ways, but it's so dedicated to what it is that you don't feel like it's just like a cop out of like, oh, this is just a silly rule, this is just like another thing. It doesn't feel like, and it also doesn't feel as extreme as like a dystopian world either. It's just like slightly changed from how we modernly think and act in our day, but it's done so in a way that's so jarring and so like uncomfortable that you're like, wait, so what else is normal and what else is like weird to these people? And I also feel like his like that's another good way of like why his establishment of his characters being like monotonous too just like leads you right into it, because you're like, these people don't seem to feel or express anything, so maybe this is normal to them, maybe this is accepted. And yeah,
Okay, cool. You didn't actually spoil the lobster there, so that's good.
Yeah, nice.
Nice. Good job. Very
Thank
well.
you.
Very well said.
High five.
Thank you very much.
But yeah,
Yeah.
we were still talking about scenes. You guys have any other scenes from
Oh.
the favorite, or any other movie? I guess.
Well, I was just thinking about like the way it's shot too, because I know a lot of people are bothered by some of the shots in it, like
the fisheye shots.
Yeah, like the fisheye shots and just like the very wide lens shots and some of like the shaky like dolly shots. I think too. A lot of people dislike them a lot. Like they think it's too showy and it's too distracting from the actual story. But how do you guys feel about it?
I don't know if this is true, but I heard it's like the fisheyes, like it's reminiscent of how paintings were painted at the time.
It's actually reminiscent of like they used to like painters during the time used to have mirrors that showed the full place like that. So he's supposed to be it's supposed to be like a reference to that. But yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of jarring because it's I understand why people wouldn't like it. I mean, I think it's fine. It doesn't really bother me, but I get it's kind of sometimes just like out of nowhere, and it doesn't seem to have real thematic relevance. It just seems to be out of style, which is fine. You know, it looks nice, I think, but even though it's like out of nowhere, yeah. But I think the favorite's beautiful. But actually, I think my favorite shot Yorgos Lanthimos film might be "Killing of a Sacred Deer." Specifically, the hallways in that scene are just so reminiscent of something like The Shining. It's very Kubrick-like.
Because I haven't seen that. Is it like the camera's high up?
Camera's high up and it's like following the character through
Yeah,
hallways.
I have seen. I think I saw the trailer for it, and I remember watching that, like watching one of the hallway scenes and being like, "Oh, interesting." I like how it's like above.
Yeah,
it's
like
cool.
tracking shots, but it's like not exactly level with the characters. It's like you're floating over them.
It's fascinating. I like that. Very unique.
Oh, I didn't mention this. Or I mean, you guys can go with your scenes. I can talk about this later. You can go.
Are you sure? But okay. Well, like scenes from the favorites. So I didn't really in regards to like the fisheye and stuff like that. I didn't really mind it either. I feel like the same what JJ was saying. It was a little jarring when I saw it, but at the same time, I was kind of just like, cool. All right. It didn't really bother me too much. I was kind of just like, oh, okay.
It's like, they're trying something out here. But
exactly.
I feel like, you know, it's like, that's just like a mixed response. Like, there's good, like, oh, they're trying it out, looks nice, but at the same time, it's like, it doesn't really match with the movie.
I feel like, to me, the only reason why I could, like, the reason why I could justify it that made me feel better about it was, like, first of all, they're shooting in this really beautiful place, so they want to, like, just, like, show it off, kind of. But also, I felt like, in a way, it could play into it thematically, too, because it's, like, when you see it on such a wide angle, you can just see everything. It almost, like, plays into the visual aspect of power. Like, they're in such a large place, and this all belongs to the queen and the country. And so, in a way, to me, that kind of reiterates that just a little bit, too, with the production design, too. But I feel like a lot of the shots already do that anyway, by showing, like, how big the palace is, how big her bedroom is. She doesn't need that much space, but she has it, and things. So that's kind of how I felt like it did just contribute to the fact of, like, making it seem like, oh, this palace is really big and huge, and the stakes of what everything is happening is really big and huge, too. But I did agree that it was a little bit, like, I didn't feel like I was watching the movie anymore in those moments, too. I just felt like I was watching someone, like, with a GoPro.
Like some BTS.
Yeah.
Like, I get what you're saying. Like, that's a pretty good explanation, like, how it shows the power. But even, like, some of the times it's used, like, I think the first time it's used is when Abigail's carriage is arriving, and it's in, like, the middle of the forest, and it's a low angle. I don't see how that relates to the power. Like, the queen owns this land still, but I don't know. So it's just like the way they use it. It's maybe they could have found better spots to use that kind of angle, but you know, it's fine. That's like, I guess if we go into nitpicks, that would be my nitpick of the film.
Yeah.
I feel like most people that would be their nitpick, but But at the same time, I don't know.
Yeah, we could actually go into nitpicks right now, unless you guys have other scenes you want to shout out in other films. Basically,
films.
The ending for all those other films, I'd like to shout
I would
out.
also, I agree.
Ooh, especially the lobster. I was also gonna bring up something that was like referenced in Killing of a Sacred Deer, but you haven't seen Killing of a Sacred Deer, and it also spoils the ending of Lobster, so I will not say it. But
I feel like we can spoil the lobster, right?
Yeah.
you can.
I would
do
spoil
it?
the lobster.
But then it also spoils Killing of. No, I shouldn't say it. It's okay.
Okay,
it's
it's
fine.
fine.
What?
It's fine.
Gosh, tell it to me after the podcast because I'm now dying of curiosity. here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For nit,
I really
for
love the
nitpicks-
lobster so much, actually.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
specifically wanted to talk about those two, I think. Favorite
Yeah,
lobster.
because I wasn't sure if I wanted to talk about those two, because I had heard that Dogtooth was very, very good, and so was Killing of a Sacred Deer, but they remain my two favorites of his, because they're just very... I think they just strike me as a lot more relevant in their themes, almost. Like, I feel more attached to the characters and what actually happens within them, too, and the worlds that they live in, and also, like, the boundaries, almost, even... Although Dogtooth is pretty, like...
Yeah.
Because I think Dogtooth almost feels very like individualistic, like it's a very small, it's like a small family, and that's what their bounds are, versus like a whole of society is bound to this set of rules if they don't achieve something in Lobster, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but I
And-
feel like Dogtooth, it hits its themes amazingly. I feel
I
like
agree.
just focusing on a family really shows the influence of power, especially what parents hold over their children. Not to get too specific about what happens in Dogtooth, but yeah, I feel like the Dogtooth hits every point home with every like scene of manipulation. It shows how someone can control every aspect of someone else's life and how they can influence the way they think and how they view the world. And that's why the ending is so great too. Not to get into specifics again, but
I know, but I know what you mean. 100%.
it's like, will they escape a world that has been built up in their mind?
Yeah, I know. It's so good.
I feel like the only like Dogtooth pales in comparison to the other films. I think it's with its cinematography. I think he's still
Agreed.
learning his like a visual eye that still hasn't been fully developed yet.
Yeah.
And I think
I
that's
agree.
where it steps back. But I think Dogtooth is the most voyeuristic of the films.
Agreed.
That's the film where it's like, should I even be seeing any of
I
this
know.
right now? And obviously that exists in all his films. Like, there's two uncomfortable handjob scenes. There's one in The Favorite and one in Killing of a Sacred Deer. Like,
Yeah.
scenes like that, like, that's classic Yorgos. Another, it's like, should we be seeing any of these? But that's part of his thing, you know? It's like, we're not supposed to be seeing this, but at the same time, we are, and it's uncomfortable, but it still somehow makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's...
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Oh.
I was gonna say, I
Oh,
think
double pass back.
I would say, I think out of all of the films I've seen, I've only seen 3 of his films, but I think my favorite story, and the one that, like, because I was saying earlier how, like, all of his films make you really think afterwards, and, like, they stay with you for a very long time. I think Dogtooth is the one that has, like, constantly been, like, at the back of my head always. Like, sometimes I think about it and I'm like, oh wow. And I think that one probably is one of his most thought-provoking films, in my opinion. And it kind of, like, makes me want to say, I think that's, like, my favorite of his films. Not for cinematography, obviously, because, I mean, the other 2 that I've seen, they obviously excel, like, at that. But I think the story is so smart and fascinating, and it's so crazy. And I remember just sitting and, like, staring at my wall for like 30 minutes after I watched it, and I was like, what? And I had to really sit and process it. I've never watched a film and then had to sit down and take time to, like, become back to human and, like, be chill after. So I was like, what?
Are you saying you turned into a dog? Basically.
Oh.
Yes. Woof.
I would have wanted to get out of my house instantly after I saw Dogtooth. Well, I didn't
No,
watch
me
it
too.
at, like, my parents' home,
Oh,
happily.
That reminded me of how you brought it up for our film theory class to watch it, because it's, like, during quarantine too, and I was like, God, this is such a horrible movie to
quarantine
watch
movie.
during quarantine.
That's
Because you
so
feel like
funny.
even
I
more
watched
trapped.
it before. I watched it before quarantine, like, right before. So great. I'm glad I didn't watch it during quarantine. I feel like that would have hit a little bit different. But
Yeah. I've the first time I saw Dogtooth was the first movie I ever saw on Canopy. It was really funny. It's like, here's this educational website, and I'm like, wait, here's a Yorgos Lanthimos film I've been looking forward to. And the poster's like the main girl bleeding. Oh my god, they don't even have names.
they
in
don't have
Dogtooth.
names.
Yeah,
Dude,
they have
Dogtooth
the
is-
eldest.
Dogtooth
The
is
eldest and
crazy.
Bruce.
That's
They don't
it's
have
the,
names
it's
in
so
the
smart.
Lobster too, though. They don't have names
No,
in
they
Lobster
don't.
either.
No, they don't.
Like, only some of them do. Like
Names are
John.
important.
I think Rachel Weisz in The Lobster is like short-sighted woman. If that's her name in that movie.
Oh yeah, that is. Oh man.
But yeah, The Lobster is kind of like Dogtooth with an expanded premise, and it's more about relationships than
Yeah.
control within or influence. But yeah, there's so many themes you can touch on with these films.
I know, 100%.
I technically
So
have Dogtooth rated the lowest on Letterboxd of all.
I
his films,
also
but
do, which is
I feel
kind of funny
bad.
that I said I think it's my favorite story, but I think so. I'm realizing now that I really like it. When I first watched it, I kind of just gave it like my average rating because I was like, I can't
Process
right
it.
now.
Yeah, uh-huh.
But I think after processing it over this very long period of time since I've seen it, I really did like it. I don't think I would rewatch it. I don't think
It's a
film I
scary
would
rewatch.
that I don't think I ever want to rewatch it. But I know that it's such a good film and it's really smart. It's very intelligent. It's like I and it consumed me, and I just can't. I don't think I've felt that way and that strongly about a film in a very long time. So I would give it a higher rating than I have currently. But I really like it. But I also really like The Lobster as well. And The Favorite is also really good. It's really hard to pick between
It's
those
tough.
three.
Mhm.
It's really hard.
And they are, of
for
course,
me.
similar because he is. I probably brought up. Yeah, I pitched Dogtooth to our class for like a viewing, and I really wanted to subject everyone to this film. How to been
Yes.
fun. But basically, my pitch revolved around how I saw Yorgos as a modern day auteur, and I think that's why all his films, they really do like bleed into each other because his distinct style is so present in all of his films.
100%. Yes.
Yeah,
Cool.
I agree.
We could go into, I mean, I said it earlier, but do you guys have any nitpicks with The Favorite or any of the movies you've seen of it? I could go, I've been talking a lot, but I'll just say this and then I can like stop for a second. Because this nitpick kind of goes with all his films, and I mentioned this in my favorite review. His style is so like, it is kind of like low energy. And, you know, that kind of makes it boring sometimes. But
Yeah.
that's just kind of the beauty of it, you know? And even though, like, I'm taking out at points because, wow, this is kind of taking a while because these characters are spending 15 years to say 3 sentences.
Yeah.
It's not that slow, but, you know, something like that. It's like, it seems
Yeah.
like that. It's like, ugh, that's kind of slow. But in the end, like, it all seems to have, they all have a satisfying payoff. And it all makes sense at the end. Even though it is kind of like, you know, where's this going? You know, I don't really know what the payoff will be. That's just kind of my nitpick with all his films. And I feel sad I haven't given any of them like 5 stars or something, but you know, who cares about that? Yeah. That's my nitpicks for all his movies.
I definitely agree with you, like, for sure, on that. I feel pretty much the same way about his style, because I have found that when I've watched his films, there has been moments where my mind kind of drifts away, and I'm kind of just like, okay, what next? And I'm like, I kind of get a little bit bored. But like, I agree. I think that is part of the beauty of his films. So then it kind of, and whenever I finish the film, I never remember those moments of when I was slightly bored. Like, it doesn't come to me because his film overall is really impressive. So, but I would agree though, typically on the first watch of his films, I find that there's those moments where I'm a little bit more bored, but yeah.
I agree with that, actually, because sometimes I feel like maybe what the characters are saying or like what they're doing feels very like unnecessary, and I'm like, why am I watching this? Like, I don't really feel like it. But then I realize like by the end that it was all part of their characterization, or like the characterization of the world itself too. So I feel like it was necessary. But I will say, I think because of that style too, it's like very like it makes you feel anxious because it's very like it is very low energy, but you know something is gonna come eventually, and then it's gonna like change the way you're seeing everything too. And when I was watching Killing of Sacred Deer, I was actually really excited, even in the really low energy parts, because I was like remembering the lobster and I was remembering the favorite, and I was like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? Like I was so excited to see what was gonna happen. I didn't feel that way about Dogtooth for some reason though. I got like, I'm not gonna lie, I did get pretty bored with a lot of the parts in Dogtooth, just because I felt like I like knew kind of what was going on the entire time, and I was just kind of like waiting for them to like reiterate it harder, I think, but it just kept bringing up like they kept pushing in like, oh, but this is happening and this is happening, and I felt very like a lot of it was very irrelevant to me, and I wasn't as engaged as I was with the other three, but it was still good and I still enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's because the Dogtooth is smaller scale, but I think it attacks its smaller premise from every possible angle you can think of.
Yeah.
Even down to like language itself, music.
100%.
Yeah. I feel like I've said a lot, but if you're listening to this and you haven't seen Dogtooth yet, just go watch it.
Please watch it.
There's
It's
a lot
really
we haven't
cool.
said.
I know.
Yeah.
I think Dogtooth's one of those films that I'll always like remember. It really just stands out in my mind. And I think that's very admirable of it. Like, that's not very often that a movie that I don't... Because I agree, when I watched Dogtooth the first time, there were moments where I was pretty bored, and I was like, I don't... But then, at the same time, like JJ was saying, the endings are just so good, and then I was just so immersed in the ideas of the film and the themes, and it just... I think that's what made me love it. So, but...
Cool. We can end this off with favorite performances and favorite lines from any of his films. You guys can bring up. I know I talked about. Mine's probably Emma Stone in The Favorite. That's my favorite. Oh my god! But you know, it is. It's my favorite performance of hers. It's so good. It's a masterclass in acting. But I will give a huge shout out to. I just searched up his name and I forgot it. I think it's like Barry Cogan, something like that. It's the guy. In Killing of a Sacred Deer, who plays the kid. Yeah, he's in Dunkirk. He's
yeah,
George.
he's that one. Yeah.
Oh, is he the kid that nobody likes?
In what?
Well, I don't
in
think
Dunkirk?
nobody likes him.
He's the kid in
It's a little
Dunkirk
rude.
who's on the boat. He's the kid who just jumps on the boat. To
Yeah.
Go with.
Oh, I remember now. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
you weren't
he's-
talking.
But he's great in Killing of a Sacred Deer. The way he seems to be so unstable and like you don't know what's up with him, and it's like what's wrong with this kid, but at the same time he's in power. You can tell he has the power in every scene he is, and it's like what knowledge does he know? Like how is he like? Why do I feel like I should be fearing this guy? And the subtleties in his performance are really great, and the power dynamics in every scene, down to just like eating spaghetti. It's great. Great performance. But yeah, those are my two performances from Yorgos films.
I agree. I think I would say Olivia Colman was my favorite for The Favorite, just because I feel like
Ditto.
everything that she brought to the table literally created what Anne's character what Abigail's character and like what Sarah's character like had to play with it too. And I feel like I wouldn't have felt the same if anybody else had done it any other way. So I think she's definitely my favorite for The Favorite. And also, I love Barry in Killing of a Sacred Deer too, because I feel like characters like those two make me feel like if anybody else had changed the way that they had acted, I would have felt a very different tone in the rest of the movie, or a very different feel of power and dynamics, and just like odd, weird dynamics that don't seem to make sense when you first look at it. Like him being friends with a grown man, and then just like Queen Anne having these interesting relationships with like her servants and things too. So I just feel like both of them are very like pivotal characters to really like push you into those worlds. So I felt like both of those performances are the best for me.
Like, imagine if it was Timothy Chalamet in Killing of a Sacred Deer.
I thought you were
God.
gonna say in The Favorite as Queen Anne, and I was like, what?
Oh no.
But oh my god. But I also Olivia Colman. I mean, come on, come on.
she's
She
great.
definitely. I love her. But besides that, I think honestly, like, shout out to everyone in Dogtooth, like the family.
Mm-hmm.
They're so impressive, cause Dogtooth to me kind of felt like I was watching a documentary and not like a fictional film. That's how impressive their acting was to me. It felt so it felt so real and unreal at the same time, because it's like, what? But I just felt like I was watching something that was actually happening, and I think a lot of it has to do with the actors. Like, I felt like they were literally in this situation, and I had to like take a step back halfway through and go, wait, no, it's fictional, but it feels so real, and it feels so, they feel like these characters, and I'm blown away by that, and I definitely think that they all deserve a lot of praise for that, because they were really good. I was very impressed.
I definitely agree. They're all great. I just feel like, I don't speak Greek, so I'm sorry. And like,
That's
they're
also
also
true.
and they're so equally amazing that none of them stood out in that film.
Exactly, that's what I
except
mean.
maybe,
Like, it's hard for me to pick, like, I wouldn't pick one because
Yeah.
I'm choking, oh my god. But I'm getting choked up. No. But I feel like that's the point. Like, they weren't really supposed to stand out, like, against each other, but at the same time, like, really good. Amazing performances. Incredible. But also, I wish... when I watch foreign language films, it makes me sad, because there's obviously stuff written in there that I'll never get. Like, little subtle things, and it makes me really upset, and it makes me want to, like, learn the language, but also I'm really lazy, so I will never do that. It makes me sad.
It's funny because, I don't want to... Okay, but, like, you know how the language aspect in Dogtooth,
Yeah.
it made me even more confused, because I was like, wait, am I, like, watching a wrong translation
Oh.
of this or something?
That's
Like, I
fine.
had to look up different versions of it and be like, wait, is this what's actually happening? And yeah. Also, for best performances, I will say, I like honorable mention for Rachel Weisz, because I really like how sharp her performances tend to be in these movies too.
Sharp is such a great word for a performance.
Yeah, like, she's so,
Truth.
it's so, like, snappy, it's so, like, simple, and she hits every single note every single time in both The Lobster and The Favorite for me. And I love the way she, like, speaks whenever she is saying something too, because I never feel confused. I'm always like, oh yeah, this is what her character is doing, that's what she's doing, that's how she feels. And perhaps it's the way that her character has been written, but just, like, her delivery is so clean cut, like, perfect. I love it.
I absolutely agree with that. That's such a great shout out. Her characters are also so different in The Favorite and The Lobster. I think in The Lobster, her character is really naive and is really, like, lonely, and her line delivery is so great. She's like the narrator for the first half of that movie. Like,
Yeah.
oh God, I am so lonely. and she's so great. She's so funny. She's one of the funniest parts of that movie. And in The Favorite, she has to, like, have that sense of command in every scene she's in, and she's excellent. And she's kind of like the antagonist in a way, but and by the end, you're like, oh, obviously she's good. She was doing good. Kind of, even though she supported the war. I don't know. It's the whole
Yeah.
thing. It's great. You can talk about that forever. I guess we'll just shout out Colin Farrell too, because he's great in both his movies. I think it's just his physical performance is great in The Lobster. During this one scene where he has to run, it's like it reflects the way the people talk too, because he has to escape from this scenario, but he doesn't run like he's running for his life, like in Get Out, like the guy who sprints towards I forgot the name, but he sprints like he's trying to stay, like, polite, but at the same time he's, like, so fearful for his life, and just his physical performance there is great. Just shout out to Colin Farrell.
Yes.
Also, I love his accent. His accent is just great. And I feel like it works very well with, like, the monotony of the characters too. It makes it a little like funnier to watch, but also it makes it feel, like, more interesting in a way. Yeah. Also, I kind of enjoyed that both of his characters, like his character in Killing of a Sacred Deer and in Lobster are like they almost feel like they're related to each other. Like one is the brother of the other or something like that. In I don't know, something like it feels like they're almost in the same universe with each other in some form. By the way,
In a
he
way,
acts.
yeah, I can see
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I mean, but in the Lobster, he actually does have a brother. But
Oh, that's right. Oh. Oh my god, and he's a dog. JJ.
yeah.
I don't
Wait,
know.
does that relate to killing of a sacred deer,
I don't know.
or is it just like, oh, he's a dog?
No,
Oh,
that
can
doesn't
I-
relate to Dogtooth.
There's
Eyes
animals in all of
emoji.
these. But can I? What you said about the cake thing blew my mind. That was great. Like
What?
the,
Oh
but
yeah, that was so cool. Sorry.
I think the production design in it's not. I don't know if it's even considered production design, but in the Lobster, there's always like when they're in the forests. I don't want to say for what, but there's scenes in the forest, and there are animals just walking in the background, and they're like the most exotic animals ever. You have like this giant humped camel, and then you have this beautiful peacock. And it seems random, but it completely makes sense. And it's just details like that that's so amazing. It really reflects like how much thought they put into the movies. And it's always cool seeing like a random exotic animal in the background of a scene. And it makes sense. Like the characters don't even react to it, but in the end it makes sense. Yeah. Cool. Is that all we have to say about Yorgos Lanthimos and
I
his
guess
work?
so. I feel like we've reiterated just how great he is at world building and things, so that's how I
Definitely.
feel. He's great. I want to meet him so bad, but also I feel like I will crumble into a pile of nothing trying to talk to him.
I agree.
So
He just oozes intelligence.
Yeah.
I mean, this is unrelated, but I looked him up, and his dad's a basketball player, so that's fun.
Oh.
For
Yeah.
for the Greek national team or something?
Yeah, like he's a famous like player in Greece, so that's cool.
Very cool.
But
Yeah.
it's not really related. It's a fun fact, though.
Yeah, Greece actually has Greece is growing in basketball. Like, I mean, technically the best player in America right now is Greek. Do you guys know that?
Really?
Crazy.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's cool.
His name is Giannis Antetokounmpo. That's his name, and he is the best basketball player right now. Yeah.
Very interesting.
Love that.
I just have two more things to say, I guess. The opening scene of The Lobster, fantastic. I wanted to bring that up. Sets the tone.
Very good.
If you know nothing about the film, it's like, what the hell is going on? I already had a sense of the premise, so I kind of understood it when I first saw it, but completely makes sense. Great way to like dip someone's toes into that world. And to get just a quick taste of Yorgos Lanthimos, I'd recommend his short film Necktie. I think I've spoken to you guys about it before. It's only like 2 minutes long. It's on YouTube, and it's just a little capsule of his style. And yeah, it's just a nice little short film, and I call it a Yorgos Lanthimos poem because that's what it feels like to me, and
Aw.
it's fun to watch.
How
It's so great.
poetic.
Yeah. How
That's
poetic.
cool.
No, if you watch it, you're like, wow, that was kind of poetic.
Oh wow. Okay, I'm interested now. I'll put that on my to watch list. That's cool.
Awesome. You have a watch list?
No, in my
Drop
brain.
the watch
not,
list.
No.
Big.
In my brain.
I knew you were
We
gonna not
almost
let that
cracked
go.
the code.
Dude,
No.
I've been looking for films to recommend. It's like, what has Emma not seen? I must know. But speaking
could
of
tell
films
you.
to recommend,
Good segue.
unless you guys had anything else to say about Yorgos.
Not really. He's
Okay,
wonderful.
cool.
I love you, Yorgos. if
I
you're
know.
listening to this.
Yorgos, you're so smart. I could never.
I would
That's
die
it.
for
I
your
could never.
Like the way you guys described how you would talk to him, it feels like you would speak like one of his characters if you ever met him.
I agree, 100%, probably.
Oh God.
He's
No, I feel like for sure I'd say something really idiotic, like that time I was like, we took a production design class.
Oh god! Okay, don't even. Don't even
Anyways.
explain that story. Don't even explain that story.
Anyways.
So,
Yeah. Anyways,
So, next week we have another guest, and I'm very excited because I
It's
feel like
Yorgos
every guest
Lanthimos.
brings
oh my god.
Precisely.
I can't make it
We
to
just
the
spent
next
all this
podcast,
entire-
guys. Sorry.
We just spend this entire pod just like gassing him up for the next episode. No,
That's
but
funny.
I can't.
I love that we have like every guest that we have had brings such a different vibe to the table, and I think that's really valuable for us. But our guest for next week is Dominic Curie. Curie, is that how you say his last name? Yes, yay!
Oof.
And
Yay.
and our movies for next week are it's okay. So he originally wanted to watch the original 5 Planet of the Apes movies, but I was like, that's a lot.
I hate those movies. I'm so glad
no.
you said that.
No. I told him that's a lot, so pick 2, and he said, okay,
Oh,
we're doing
no.
the first 2. So we're gonna be doing Planet of the Apes and Beneath the Planet of the Apes as our
Okay,
two
the
movies for
original
next week.
2, right? That's very. You got to be
Yes.
specific. So this
Yeah, the original
is
2,
not,
the 1968 and 1970 films.
So not the Mark Wahlberg ones and not the James Franco ones, but the ones, the Charleston Heston ones. I think, is that the actor in them?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Daniel
I
the
don't
Hell,
like
basically.
Planet of the Apes.
I've never seen
Oh
so.
no, Emma! This is our second straight guest.
I'm
You're not
sorry. Why am I always against the guests? I'm so sorry. Like, I have a lot.
That's interesting. I actually haven't seen them, so
Same.
I'm excited.
I'm very
I'll
interested. I was
try
gonna be
to
down
watch-
to watch all 5, but also I was like, that's a lot to talk about.
That
so.
is a lot. I'll try to watch more than that, but
I'll watch
Yeah.
I've seen the new Planet of the Apes trilogy.
Do you like it?
Or, yeah, I think they're solid. Emma doesn't. Emma's shaking her head now. You don't like
Oh,
Andy
no.
Serkis?
I'm sorry.
You don't like Gollum as Ape Caesar? No.
What?
Okay.
I didn't
Andy
hear what you said.
Serkis.
So
Oh, sorry. Andy Serkis plays Caesar, the main ape in the
Yeah.
new trilogy.
I,
He's good.
yeah,
Do you just have some? Okay, you know what? We can talk about this next week.
I
It's
know.
fine.
We'll talk
Let's just-
For sure.
this week.
we'll
I'm
just
excited to
end-
see how this goes.
I'm excited too. Yeah, I don't know if I'll like the movies either. What if we might all end up hating the movie?
Oh, that would be so sad.
Oh no!
It's okay. It'll be another respectful discussion. It'll be great. Also, I feel like
Respectful
Dom always
discussion.
has a lot of like really valuable stuff to say about movies. I think that are very
Truth.
interesting. So
Yeah. It's gonna be a lot of fun. All right, cool.
cool. I'm excited.
Cool,
We're-
exciting.
Exciting!
All right.
How exciting!
Well,
I will now exile Craig from.
bye,
the Philadelphia
Craig.
Bye, Craig.